Hopefully people are going to be able to start streaming back in here. We're live again. I don't see anybody in chat yet, but I seem to believe yes. Okay, good. We're live on Twitch. David, if you can check in the background there to make sure we're live on Agora as well. We should be, because it just mirrors whatever Twitch is doing, but Twitch was just not live before. So oh, nice. You're back, Ender. Okay, good. So you made it back, and that's awesome. And this time you're watching from Twitch, I see. I'm wondering if did you go over to YouTube because you couldn't find us on Twitch? Yeah, okay, cool. We should be good on all three platforms. I'm just going to bring David in because it doesn't make sense to have him in the darkness. Hello, David.
Hey.
Hello.
I was just there in the back office.
Oh yeah. Just chilling. Jabbering. I got a funny story to tell people today on kind of fun little anecdote at the end of the show.
No, you cannot tease us and wait until the end of the show.
I could do it. Well, it's just hardly anybody here yet, so it'll be a story for only you. Which is, you're important, David. I'm just saying.
Oh, I thought you said just for Ender. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool.
A story that's only for Ender. I made this one only for you, buddy. 1 sec. I'm just looking for a video that I can share in a little bit. I think this is the one I want. Yeah, this is the one here. It's so cool. All right. Let me just go like this. All right, cool. All right. So, we got 9 people in here now. Okay, cool. You want me to open with a crazy story? Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Welcome, by the way, everybody. Sorry for if you were wondering where the hell we were. It's because there was a bit of a glitch on the restream side, and Twitch wasn't authenticated to stream there. So I had to shut the stream down and start a new one. And so here we are. So welcome back for those who did make it back. Quick note, we over at Agora.Community, David and I actually just had a meeting today about this. We are going to be changing up this segment a little bit, because now that we've kind of hit our stride and we're able to get to the bottom of that crazy long list of Q&A questions, what we want to do with this segment is continue to have a weekly segment to do something with, but it's not always going to be Q&A. So we are brainstorming currently a list of kind of cool content that we can do. There's actually a lot of really fun things on that list already. There's even, we also talked even about going to you, the community, if you have some ideas for fun content. I'll put a form out there. I'll work with Scott to get people to submit their ideas, because we're all ears if you're looking for a specific type of content. There's 2 kind of main tracks we want to continue to always offer, and there's some things might be completely random and different, like big events, obviously, like the 24-hour challenge. But the 2 main things is we want to continue bringing you like A-list talent that David and I sit down with and talk with from all different reaches of the industry. That's our conversation with series. We're going to mix it up a little bit with the format, try some new things, but basically we're going to continue to have those types of content because we really like doing them, and we've gotten a lot of really good feedback from them. This type of content is more interactive. It's a bit more connecting with the community. And so we want to continue to do Q&As, but maybe not every single week. Instead, we can do some other fun things. So if you have ideas for either one of those 2 things, then keep an eye open for a poll that will hit the street soon.
Yeah, that'll be cool to add a little bit of variety as well. And, I think the Q&A is going to remain there, but maybe every 3 weeks or something like that. So we have a week that we can start like, hey, let's debate about this idea. I'm going to be for it. You're going to be against it. And all right, let's get this started. Or sometime just, reviewing or demoing or, anything, and bringing guests as well. Absolutely. To make sure that it's not just our 2 faces, but we have other people joining the party.
Exactly. We threatened that a long time ago, and I think we've only done that once so far. Well, that's not true, because Jacob's come on just recently as well. But we mean to do it. It's just that obviously being very busy, it's sometimes a little bit tricky to make sure that we can plan to have another guest on. But it is still something we want to do more of. So by all means, definitely send in your ideas. Hello, Cuta_arg. welcome to your first live stream with us. You caught us in an interesting live stream night because everything went wrong. So, congratulations. I blame you.
This is the worst you're going to get from us. It's only going uphill from here.
It just gets better from here on out, I promise. Okay, so let's start with a funny story. Let's mix things up a little bit. So I'll consider this a public service announcement for those who are interested in trying to that's it, they're bringing the fire. Good. Burn it all down. For those who are maybe into the idea of shopping last minute for cool Halloween ideas, the pressure increases when you have a little kid who wants to be impressed and wants to scare all the children in their neighborhood. I ordered something foolishly off of one of those TikTok ads, and because I was curious, I wanted to know. This looks pretty cool. Let's try it. So I'm going to share a video. This is what was advertised. Okay. I want to show you what was advertised, and then I'll demonstrate what I got in the mail today. Okay. And I think that it's very important that I explain what has happened to me so that you can avoid the heartbreak. Okay. So hold on a second. Let me just see if I can share this up. 1 second. This is pretty funny. You're going to laugh at the disparity between the product description and the actual product. No, I don't want that. I want to share my screen. And we're going to do Chrome tab. And there it is. Okay. So let me just go full screen on this biznatch. Okay, here we go. So it is a little product called Jabbering Jack. Okay, it's very, very simple technology if you think about it, but it's using some modern stuff, something called short throw projection technology. Basically, it is a projector, a little mini one that can throw a very small distance. Usually projectors need a certain distance before it becomes in focus. This one has some sort of like macro focusing, making it very easy to throw something really close. It's a really cool idea. And what caught my eye was the quality of the animations. So basically it's like a hollow. Well, I'll just show you. Why tell you when I can show you? Watch this.
Jabbering Jack.
Happy Halloween.
Meet Jabbering Jack. He's not your typical jack-o'-lantern. He talks, sings, and tells jokes. Jack has a projector located on the inside, which means he is totally portable. All you need to do is simply plug him in.
I'm having a staring contest with a pumpkin down the street. Man, this guy hasn't blinked once, and I think I'm losing.
With 3 animated faces and over 70 minutes of programming, Jabbering Jack will quickly become your favorite pumpkin to decorate with. Jack can plug into any wall, has volume and...
I think you all basically get the idea here, right? Okay, so it looks pretty cool. It's dope. Like I'm thinking, what the hell? Maybe the animations are actually pretty cool.
So, Brent, is it the production value of this infomercial that cut you... They say, for sure it's going to be a quality product.
Definitely not. But here's the thing. Apparently, this is a real product. This is the key thing that you need to understand. It's just that there are people because people suck, basically, masquerading as someone who can sell you this product online. And they know, trust me, it was called Jabbering Jack. All the pictures were right off the marketing material of the actual product. And this is something that's very available. It's sold out on Amazon because it is October. So obviously anybody with half a brain that would like a cool thing like this would have bought this months ago. However, I didn't go on Amazon. I bought it off of a stupid TikTok ad. It's pretty just ripe apparently with a bunch of Chinese merchants that are just sometimes legit, sometimes not so much. So allow me to reveal to you the spectacle that is what was sent in the mail today. So I see there's a key in my mailbox today, and I'm like, oh my God, that means something came. So I opened it up, and I'm so excited, but I'm like, that's weird. The box is kind of small. So I'm like, it can't be that. Obviously, it must be something else. So I get something that's this size, first of all, okay? So obviously a little smaller than I would have expected. And there's a bulge. There's a bulge. So obviously whatever's in there isn't fitting very well. And this, my friends, is what I got in the box. This. Now, yes, there is an LED in there. Absolutely. But there are some other details that seem to be missing, i.e. the speaker where the sound would come out, and I don't know, the actual cool projector technology that was supposed to be in here. Yeah, $50 right there is well spent money for something you get at the dollar store. Now,
what?
Yeah, the plot thickens though. Well, $50 is actually pretty cheap for what I was like, that's pretty cool. On Amazon, it was like $120 sold out. So I thought, oh man, the warning sign should have been, of course, why is it only $50? Well, this is why. Now, what's interesting about this, I think possibly the most interesting part of the story is I'd always use PayPal. Okay. This is not a sponsored video, but I use PayPal because PayPal, I feel like, provides me an extra buffer and mediation when you get something like this happens. I went on there right before the show and I submitted a report, and the report is supposed to go to the seller, and I submitted it, and then immediately the case was closed and they sent me my money back. No one even read it. So clearly this merchant was flagged as but what bothers me is, what if it was flagged, then why wouldn't they have just reached out to me already and told me, oh, by the way, prepare yourself for the disappointment in the mail. I had to wait and get it and have my heart crushed and my daughter to cry tears of sadness at the totally underappreciated. Anyways, long story short, be careful out there.
So what happens when you open the LED lights?
Oh, you want to see?
I want to have the full experience.
There you go. There you go.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Right. It's almost the same. Hey, David. Hey, you want some candy? You want some candy, David? You want some candy? There you go. That's what it does. It just requires me to be behind a microphone, but that's so cool. That's cool. I can hide in the corner with my microphone with the little kids. Okay, it's no problem. I'll scare them. I just can do it with my voice. I don't need some cool some pumpkin to do that. I can do that.
That's pretty disappointing.
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing. So anyways, now you know, everybody, watch out. Okay, Jabbering Jack. Good times.
So do you have a plan B?
I told you my plan B. I'm going to hide in the shadows and I'm going to make scary voices. I don't know. I can see if I can maybe still find one because I love that little guy. So I don't know.
Get a pumpkin, a normal one, carve it like we
Swear to
normally
man.
do, and just put a big speaker in it.
Yeah, that's it.
And just keep a microphone, go hide a little mic, and
Yeah,
then
no
just
problem.
Scream out of
It's not a bad idea.
Get scared.
Yeah,
That's
just
what
loud
we just
noises.
did.
They can scary. Yeah, that can be super scary.
Yeah.
Funny story. I tried. I had like a design of a really cool, like pandemic friendly, COVID friendly candy dispenser that I had designed and built after I took a Mark Rober class online. I just don't have enough time to completely finish it, so I don't think that's going to happen.
Is there any chances that you might injured kids with the candy that is going to be thrown like 60 miles an hour in their direction?
Interestingly, it is pneumatically powered, so there is a small chance that speeding projectiles could injure a child. But I mean, whatever. I just have to have a little table out front with a little waiver form that the parents have to sign. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
There you
go.
Now I want to see Halloween at the Georges. What it looks like.
It's dangerous.
Ambulance in the front.
Yeah, it's scary for all the wrong reasons at the George house on Halloween. You got to be careful. So with that all being said, with that public service announcement out of the way, does anybody have any questions for David and I? Anybody? I have to check. I got to bring up my my thing.
We promised Scott that we're at least going to start with the one that he
I'm all over that
on social. So
I'm all over that.
Let's start with this one.
Okay.
Give time for chat to warm up a little bit.
Okay, this the one of the how many Manny Fragiluses tip? I use many. Oh wait, hold on. Snap, crackle, and rock.
If it's a long one, definitely it's not going to enter in the.
Wow.
But anyway.
Well, he's got a bunch up here. He's added a bunch of whole new ones, which is great. But I just don't know which one was advertised.
It's the blue one.
Oh, it is the blue one. Okay.
It's the one that says social promotion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it does say that there. I didn't notice. Okay, cool. All right. This will be way too long to show up. So
that's a big one.
Definitely long. So I will read it. Luckily, I can read it off this thing here, so it's not going to be all the way on the screen. But all right, here it is. I used Manny Fragilus's tip on reaching out to a company and saying, "Hey, I want to get into games and intend on learning it over the coming year. Would be great to keep in touch and show you my progress." The anime director invited me for a coffee and a chat, and now I'm speaking with the recruiter about a possible job. This kind of works.
Amazing. There's
not really a question, more of a testimonial, but good.
But yes, this stuff actually does work.
Kind of does.
It's not going to work every time.
No.
And if you're discouraged because it didn't work like the first 3 times that you tried, it's not going to go very far. But But yes, to be fair, most of the time it's not going to work, but it doesn't matter. It just need to work once, and
that's it.
Then you're
you're in like Flynn. Yeah, exactly. I think that the key thing here to keep in mind is that most people wouldn't think to do this. You know what I mean? Like maybe this catches on like wildfire and then everyone's going to be doing it, and I would to find some other cool thing to stand out. Okay, well, that's going to take a while. I think that, I've been giving hot tips out for a long time on how to get noticed, especially at a video game company. And so few people do it. That big tip being like, learn a little bit of the engine and put that work on your demo reel. But people tend to just not. They just tend to like do the bare minimal. So all you have to be is that person who just thinks a little bit above the crowd and does something a bit more personal or a bit more intelligent or a bit more thoughtful or whatever, just anything that makes you stand out. And then boom, you get an in.
If you show that you're motivated and you're not annoying about it, that's the recipe. And I think that, most is there. I want to get into games, intend to learn it over the coming years. So you see that you're you're pretty upfront by the fact that you're starting in the industry, but you're not only willing to learn, but learn over a couple of years. So they might say, okay, might not just be here for a couple of weeks. That's great. You kind of give the impression that you're ready to be a sponge and just learn. You are proactive just by the fact that you approach the recruiter or the animation director to do that. But yeah, I would say all of those things in this little message, there's a lot of things that's been done right over here. So good for you. It's not going to work every time, but it only needs to work one time. That's it.
There was a piece of human garbage in chat. I've removed them from chat. So just in case you did see that, I apologize in advance for anybody who was offended by that. But I don't even know how you can even stop that kind of crap from happening. But there's a special place in hell for them. So, I mean, I'm just super happy that someone actually went and just tried some of this stuff because frankly, like it's so crazy that so quickly here that someone went out there and did it and then got such a huge positive feedback from that. Like, I mean, it's one thing to get just an email back from a recruiter. It isn't. Seriously?
Nope.
Really?
There again.
Hey, you're so hilarious. Like, I don't even know how to fix this. How do we just turn that off? I guess we can't because they're garbage. Yeah, hilarious. It's really hilarious. It's funny. It's the first time this has ever happened.
Is there any way to just block the...
well, that's what I'm doing. The problem is they're just starting new accounts, I guess. That's what they're doing. They're just making literally a new account and then just coming back in the stream. So, yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome that there's people out there like that. I don't know. I'm just going to have to try to ride that and see if I can shut it down every single time it happens. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to have to keep an eye on chat. So I apologize for the chaos in chat, but, people suck and they have nothing else better to do.
Yeah, and that's something that we discuss at some point. That eventually we'll need a moderator in there that's going to
I guess that's today. I guess it's the day that we finally find out that there are people that are jerks. So let's jump on to the next question. I have one coming in here from Zax Mannix.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think animation... Let me bring it up.
Yep.
Do you think animation is meant for some talented people, or can anyone out there work hard enough to do it for a living? I've been a student for 4 years now, still haven't gotten good enough. Still haven't gotten good enough to land a job yet. I still practice in my free time. Because I just love the art, but am not very hopeful. If I'm being honest. Thoughts or opinions?
So basically, we have someone that's been studying for 4 years and maybe isn't as satisfied as he could be with the progress that he's seeing. I mean, for me, right off the bat, becoming a professional animator is not only if you are talented. I myself never considered myself being talented at animation. I just worked hard for many years until I became better. and that's it. I didn't had any drawing skills, didn't had any specific acting skills. What I was good at in school was everything around look dev. So, lighting, compositing, rendering, color grading, and all that. But I just happened to land a job in animation, and there I was started. And then after that, the only thing I had on my resume was a professional animator for a couple of months. So the next studio hired me as an animator, the next studio as an animator, and then eventually it was too late to be anything else than an animator. So no, to me, especially as the industry is growing these days, no. If you work hard at it, but you still work in the right direction, meaning that you get proper feedback on your work. If it's not at school, you can find some private mentoring for that. But you keep on grinding forward, and eventually it's going to work. The industry is exploding so much. There's so much needs for professional animators that it's going to work at some point.
Yeah, I think that it's hard because when you start off, at the beginning, when you're just starting off, it's hard to know whether you are cut out for it, because it might just be that you might be taking a little longer than other people, and you're just wondering, like, is this a waste of my time? It's not easy, because I will be honest to say that it's not really for everybody to be an animator. It's just not. Now, I think that just about anybody, if they worked hard enough, they could get to the point where they could, have a job doing it, but they just might not rise up through the ranks and do the thing that they want. Like, they have dreams to be some sort of supervising animator at a feature film company. You will be limited by your own abilities. I just don't believe it. Just like not everyone can sing really, really well because they just don't have the right voice for it. They can be trained professionally to sing as well as they can, but it just might not make the cut for the dream position of singing that they might be looking for. So, I mean, at some point you got to be realistic, I think, with yourself. And, but like the problem is the trickiest part of this problem is that it may take years before you even know whether you even have a shot at it. Some people are just really late bloomers, and then they come in like way late in the game and they just surprise the hell out of everybody, and they just take off. So you have to give yourself an honest chance, and you got to just put yourself out there and try.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely some tasks that are more technical than others. So, yeah. And I would say those tend to be more accessible than being a all-star keyframe character animator at a big studio. So maybe you're going to start by something that is a little bit more technical, like facial mocap retargeting, or mocap body data cleaning, or maybe layout, or maybe just helping with exporting animation. And this is usually enough to get you a foot in the door, and then evolve from there. Maybe not everyone have the potential of becoming amazing animator, but I think that most have the potential to become just good enough to be a good average animator in the industry that might not make big waves, but I totally have a salary of, and not having to find other work than just being in the animation industry and evolve from there.
Yeah. I mean, it says that you've been 4 years now as a student. My biggest question to you would be, like, where have you been? Like, student self-taught? Do you have proper mentorship? Like, this is another part of the equation that needs to be understood, because there's lots of people that are just trying to do it. Like, look, I was just having a class just last night, and one of the things I said, I leveled with them, and I said, my students, and I said, it never ceases to amaze me how often the obvious thing like holding people back is just themselves. It's not even their skill level. It's just that they're not connecting properly with the material. Like, they're, for instance, just not using video reference. The idea of being a student and not using video reference when you're starting off as an animator is just crazy to me, because how are you supposed to know how things move unless you can study them? And to have the delusion that you have a perfect idea as to how things move so early, in your career, is crazy, especially when there are like professionals who've been doing it for 10 plus years that are still heavily reliant on video reference. And they're not reliant. It's just that, like, as Jacob would always say, the reference serves a bigger purpose at some point. It's not about how something moves necessarily. It's about seeing moments of inspiration that you would have not thought of normally. So basically, it's always going to have a place in your workflow. And early on, it's really about building a library of timing and mechanics and patterns and things that you don't necessarily have straight in your head yet. Like if I were to ask you what the order of colors are in the rainbow, you'd probably be able to tell me, maybe most of you, but that's because you've seen a rainbow so many times, that it's finally sunk in, and it's pretty simple. But if I were to ask you how many frames it takes to like essentially get from a kind of an anticipation pose to a takeoff pose and a typical jump, would you be able to tell me? People that are starting out, probably not, but you would learn that by looking at video reference and being very, very studious about it. So who knows what your learning has been like? Maybe 4 years is frustrating because you're not really moving the needle, but maybe it's because you're not doing it right. Maybe you're just literally not getting the right guidance, or you're not using the right material. So I have no idea. But reach out to me, and I'd love to talk about it and find out what's going on as far as you as a student. Mm-hmm. What else? We got a whole pile of questions piling up in here.
I think we'll avoid the when was.
I don't know.
One. Let's go with the CUDA_arg.
Okay. Let's do it. So we got when a recruiter reviews show reels, do they usually scrub the video back and forth, or is it a case of pile of yes and a pile of no reels to select them all?
I can share how I'm reviewing showreel, because
you might as well.
At Agora Studio, we're receiving dozens and dozens of showreels. So there's a moment that you're like, oh, that's an interesting showreel. Would like to have you in our pool of talent. And then after that, when we are recruiting on specific project, then again, we review all the showreel pretty rapidly. But I would say for any recruiter that is a situation that there is literally, dozens, if not hundreds of showreel to go through, we're usually going to pay attention to the first 5 to 10 seconds of the showreel. And at that point, we have 50% of our, mind that is set. Then we're going to scrub a little bit, like, okay, what is in 30 seconds after? And what is, so not scrub through it, but just, fast forward in, okay, well, the first shot was great. What is in the middle of the showreel? Okay, it's still pretty good. What is at the end? And if those 3 different points were, interesting enough, then might listen to, maybe not if it's a 6-minute showreel, but if it's 2 minutes, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, then I'm going to look at all of it. But usually, if I'm not, I don't want to say impressed, because I don't have to be impressed. But if the first 2 shots are like, ooh, I'm really not sure, and I fast forward 30 seconds and there's another one there that like, ooh, I'm really not sure. If I have 100 showreel to I'm going to put it in the no pile or not yet pile, let's say eventually, where this is leading. So I would definitely say start with your strongest work, and keep it short.
Yeah,
a 1 minute good showreel is plenty enough. Don't make a 3-minute average showreel with 1 minute of good stuff, because it might just not go in the direction that you hope it will.
Yeah, I think that like being able to edit yourself is important. There's no point in filling up a bunch of space just to do it. If just only your best work, only things that you feel proud of. Now, that could be contentious for some people because they may not be proud of anything, but I think you get my point. The cream of the crop, the best stuff that you have, you sort of set a bar, and then if things fall beyond that bar, don't put it in just because you want to fill up the time. It doesn't make any sense, because what that says to the people watching it is they think that that's good. And it kind of, people are going to question your judgment, and judgment is a big part of the job. You know what I mean? Be able to self-critique and knowing what's good and what's not so good and what makes a cut. I do something similar that David does. There's truth to the idea that if you don't catch my eye quickly, then you're going to end up in just the I'm not going to bother pile. because I'm not going to watch the whole reel if it's like it's just not good enough. I don't have enough time in the day. I wish I could, and I wish I could reply to every recruit or every person trying to get the job and let them know exactly why they didn't. So I have done that in the past, but in big hiring binges where there's a whole pile of people coming in, there's just not enough time to be able to do that. So if I'm in a pinch, I'm just going to go quickly. And as soon as it seems interesting, then I often kind of just put it in a pile to then like look at it a bit more carefully later. So I'm kind of just trying to separate the chaff from the wheat a little bit very quickly. And then I go back and look at that short list and then kind of dive a little deeper and take a look, because there's only so many seats, right? We might be looking for one or two people, and we need to figure out which one of those seats are going to get filled by the possibly really big stack of maybes. But it's nice to go from like a stack of 150 maybes down to a stack of 25. That's going to make the job a little easier, and hopefully then down to like 10. And then it's not going to just be my call. It's going to be, obviously, I would then be getting the opinion of the other animators on the team, possibly even some of the other directors on the team, and just get their input. So it's not just me. I'll have my instincts, but I love making decisions by committee when it comes to hiring, especially because chemistry is important. It's not just about your actual skill level. It's also a little bit about who you are and what you're bringing to the table, and your personality. If you can shine that through on your demo reel, you're going to catch people's attention there too, which might also be yet another win for you. Along the sort of the same kind of thing that we opened with, this idea of, sending like the way you actually even present the demo reel to the recruiters could be a way to get in. Let's see here. I think we can go back to the list here. There we go. Got one for you right here. Is from Agora_stalker. I like it. What are the fondest memories of your entire career? Hello, Tabitha. Welcome to the stream.
Oh boy. There are many memories to scan very rapidly to see which one would fit. How about we go one after the other? So I can start with
oh yeah, sure. You mean like alternate?
One. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Let's alternate.
Yeah. You want to start?
Sure. There was such a thing in 20 years ago that computers were expensive and software were expensive as well, to the point that there's many studios, especially in Montreal, that they would not have enough computer for the amount of artists that they had. So they created a 2 shift. So you had the day shift that was basically from 8 to 4 p.m. and the night shift from 4 p.m. to midnight, and we would alternate. And you can imagine with a bunch of people that are starting in the industry, that are super creative, super enthusiastic, that are on the night shift when it's just party in the rest of the city. So I would say there was a lot of evening that felt like, are we really working or are we just partying? Because it feels that we're doing both at the same time. So I would say that was definitely a fun memory for sure to remember. A much simpler time, I would say, that we would just show up. Eventually everyone else will be leaving and we'll be like 10 animators left on their own that were basically just having fun and animating on one of the first animated movie, or at least in Montreal over here.
I've told this story in the past. I'm a big fan of underdog stories, and it's and I think that whenever I find myself on a team or a project that seems kind of overwhelmed with the odds, I tend to shine in moments where a team kind of just bonds together and makes it happen anyways. I've been on a few projects like that, like ones that are just for like, you just feel like it's dead on arrival and it's going to be so difficult for a variety of reasons. But people are like, you know what? I like working with you and you like working with me. Let's just figure it out and do the best we can with what we got. And for some weird reason, and it's funny because I've seen this sort of as a trend when we have some of the guests on the show and they talk about stories. We just had who we just had on recently? It was I don't think it was Pierre. Who was the one that told the story about? No, it was Olivier, right?
Olivier?
He was he was sort of he's the one that loves fire so much. Basically, it seemed like a lot of the shows he was on were sort of underdog stories, and because everyone just sort of was just sort of almost counting them out, it was somehow strangely off the radar, and it allowed people to just sort of rally in a way that maybe not couldn't have happened otherwise. Like it creates this weird sort of rift in time and space and reality, allowing the team to do something kind of special. And I like that. I witnessed the same kind of thing and phenomena in my own career, and I think that those kind of moments are always the best, because it just feels like, wow, we totally pulled that one out of the fire and we did something interesting. So I don't have a specific, there was I think Alone in the Dark was one of the ones that I worked on that was like that, but there's been a couple others.
Yeah. The more I think about it, my, the fondest memory are not necessarily about a specific production, but it's a lot of what was around work. And I would say there was definitely a time when there was a bunch of us that moved to Marseille to work on an animated feature in 2004, and a bunch of Quebecers in Europe. So we would gather together, and especially the weekend, we would go in different city. Then fast forward 2 years after, I went in Australia again with a couple of Quebecers at Animal Logic on the first Happy Feet, and there's something. It was weird. There was, I'm trying to remember. In Australia, you have all of those animals and insects that can literally kill you. That's one of the first impressions when you go in Australia when you're from Canada. It's like, oh, that kind of looks like Canada, but there's a parrots over here, and there's a flying fox, like thousands of flying fox in the hair. So there's definitely a vibe about it when you arrive, and being close to the coast, and having the opportunity with a few friends to just go to the beach on lunchtime and come back. There was definitely something with the people over there that we were working with, and all this stuff that we did around work. It was not specifically about work, but it was all creating those bonds with all those people, so foreign people and Aussies as well. So that was definitely two great moments as well. Not necessarily specifically about the work, but about everything that was going around the work.
I think my other story would be just basically how I always wanted to be in the video game industry, but my first job interview was with one at Silicon Knights in Ontario, and the interview did not go very well. I didn't have any experience at all with even computer animation, let alone working on a video game. Mm-hmm. And so it felt good after many, many years finally get a chance to do that. And I worked at a company that I really, really like. It was still one of my best memories as far as working for a company is concerned. It was a little company called Pseudo Interactive in Toronto. And that was fun because there was a really great group of people. It was a pretty small group of people. They would be considered not necessarily indie, somewhere between indie and AAA as far as size. And it was a very capable team. It was one of the only really kind of legit video game companies in the Toronto area at the time. This is way before UB Toronto opened up. Yeah. And it was just awesome just because it felt good to finally do it, because I always wanted to. And it was sort of like, man, this is like everything I thought it would be. Like, it's so fascinating to be able to like use animation as a sort of a means to communicate things in a video game. Like, it was just like right up my alley. I mean, played video games all my life. And, I still kind of remember fondly my dad kind of admitting to me that, maybe I owe you an apology for always busting your balls for playing video games all the time. Like, I don't know. It's kind of weird. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Like, it's like I kind of finally got a job and I got paid to do it. And I looked at him and I said, you know what? Actually, probably not, because I think most people probably like the odds were stacked against me. I think most people who play games obsessively when they're young probably don't end up making them. But yeah, it turned out that I somehow managed to beat the odds and do it. So that felt pretty good.
If I go the flip side, I would say one of the worst memory that I have. There's a studio that I will not name, but we were basically working on a show for the Discovery Channel, and the quality expectation by the director were so low that we finished every shot that were planned to do like 2 weeks, after like 4 days they were done. And we would try, no, leave it to me. I'm going to polish it even more. Then, no, that's fine. But I have nothing to do. Just do whatever. So we were a bunch of us just watching everything that was online. That was before YouTube. So, where you were just trying to find video online to entertain yourself. And, in the beginning, I was coming from a much more intense production. So it felt really good. But eventually you realize that boredom is a pretty bad. So if you think that, deadline and pressure and all that is, wait until you get on a project that you're just bored 80% of the time, but you have to be physically at work to kind of justify why they pay you. So that was no fun. And when they finally announced that, guys, sorry, you've been too fast, we have to let you go like 1 month before the end of the project, we're like,
what?
You got this, no problem.
Yeah.
We're out of here. Thank you.
Oh man. Yeah. It's too bad though they didn't pay you all the way to the end, because I mean if you got done that early, then it would have been kind of nice to just sort of like maybe get paid for nothing. But it sounds like everyone was excited to just go off and actually do something a bit more productive with their time, right?
Yeah, just move on. I mean that's the thing. I don't think that anyone thought about quitting. For some reason, it was not in the option that we had. But the moment they offered to finish the contract sooner, everyone was like, yep.
Sign me up. Get me out of here.
Please.
I got someone came back here. It was actually Zax Manx who came back with some answers to some questions that I had about his question, which was about specifics on his schooling. Just I figured we could maybe have a quick conversation about this. Sorry for the late answer, but it's actually been 2 years in a university, 1 year online school, and 1 year private mentorship. So, yep, I just suck. I mean, I don't know. I think you're being a little harsh. Let's put it this way. 2 years of university is pretty much a write-off, in my opinion, based on most of the people I've seen who go to university. Most, not all, but most people who try to study animation at a university level, it does not often go well. You usually have a bunch of instructors, professors who probably really have no industry experience. And if they do, I mean, it's questionable as far as I'm concerned. I think Concordia would be a good exception to that rule, but they're kind of preparing the animators there for kind of film board kind of animation, like artistic, like pieces of work, like short filmmaking, as opposed to commercial work like video games or VFX. There's a big difference between those two worlds. And then 1 year of online school. I mean, I don't know where you went. There's lots of different online schools, but 1 year is not a lot. Like, I don't know if you took a full class load for a year or what. And then a private mentorship. Well, I guess that really comes down to who you're, and I don't want you to name names because I certainly don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I mean, maybe switching up the mentor. Maybe the mentor is not working out for you. I don't know. Send me your work sometime. I'll give you an honest answer as to where I think you're at after 4 years. By all means, reach out to me. I don't know what the best way to reach out to me is. Probably just
I agree that this 4 year, 1 year to university, 1 year online school, and 1 year private mentorship. I don't know exactly how much it adds up, but I wouldn't say it's 4 years to full on. Because, if I'm trying to find... There are some good schools here in Montreal, and they have a 2 year program. And you're not great when you get out of school, even after 2 years of good. I got out of school after 1 year, and I basically knew the software. This was my level of skills when I got out of school. I know how to use the software. That was it. We spoke with Pierre in the stream last week, and I would say he's out of the Gobelin among the very good, above average student, after 6 years of really good education. So I think that, yes, you have to put this in perspective. And I would agree with Brent, if you want to send him your showreel, he could probably place you in between, oh yeah, you really need to work on this and this, to, oh no, you're actually very not that far. So you just keep it up and it's going to happen. But based on those numbers, it's not a desperate cause at all.
Yeah. You could reach me on Discord. You can either join my Discord. You could find that information on my Twitch channel, which is over_animated. You can join my Discord and then find me there and just send me a private message. That's fine. Otherwise, you could, well, that's probably the best way of getting a hold of me. But if you have another way, then you just use it. But I would be happy to take a look at it and give you a proper, I don't know, evaluation, I guess, as it were. Okay, who else is in here? We got one from Van, animator himself. Let's see what he's got for us today. I've had pretty much a day and a half to finish an 8-second shot from a start to finish. How do you even start to make it look good at that point without losing my mind?
So 8 seconds, 1.5 day. So assuming that they are normal 8 days a week. So that would be an average of 25 seconds a week, right? Roughly, if we do the math. So this is on par with TV series quality animation. So this is what you need to compare yourself with. Okay, so that's one thing. How many characters you have in there? You have one or you have 5? How complicated is the shot? How is it just action, or is there some performance in there? I would say with a quote of 25 seconds a week, there's a physical creative limitation that will hit at some point. So to me, I would say I always kept and that's something that we've discussed with, I don't remember if it was with Olivier or Pierre, but I always had a ratio of how much preparation you would need to do. So for me, it was almost like 20% preparation, then 40% blocking, which is already 60% of the time you have, and then whatever is left, like 40% for planning, refine, polish. So if you don't have enough time, it's the polishing that's going to not be at the same level, but it's not the idea, it's not the entertainment itself. So that would mean you have a day and a half. I would spend the first 3 hours at least just to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? Look some reference, maybe sketch a little bit, and just make sure that I will literally have enough time to do 6 key poses and do a good job at in-betweening and doing as much refine as I can. So just make sure that those 6 poses are telling the story that you want to tell properly, and each one of them are clear. And even if you could just show your step blocking, assuming this is how you would animate it, anyone would understand what is going on, what the character is feeling, and all that. So yeah, you just have to be pragmatic about it and say, okay, I have this amount of time. What matters? I can only focus on that, and then race until the finish line after that to do as much. It's not even polishing at that point. It's just refine. It's just making it not look bad. This is what I would call it.
Yeah, I've a similar sort of perspective on this, and I have also a similar formula. It took me a while to figure this out, but basically the way I work is I work in 3 phases. I have the block, and I have the rough, and I have the polish. And the block is usually stepped poses where I'm just worried about the staging and the overall timing and pacing of the scene. I'm just worried about communicating. It's like storytelling. It's sort of almost like making a children's book or a comic book of poses that are kind of obviously a bit more higher fidelity and more granularity to than what a storyboard would have, but you get the basic idea. The rough is where I'm working with splines. I'm kind of making sure that I put some breakdowns in, but I'm not worried about things like overlapping action as much. I'm not worried about a lot of the, definitely no secondary or there's a lot of like polish and texture missing from the animation, but it'll be clean and things will feel heavy because I've added the hang time and I've made sure that the tangents on the bottom of landings are nice and sharp. But, normally in a feature film, then I would then take a lot more time, or VFX, I would take more time adding all the next stuff, which is the polish, where it is all those things I just mentioned I don't put in until the very, very end. If I'm working on a television show, I will only give myself a couple hours to depending on how long the shot is, but there's a very small amount of percentage of time that I'll be putting on the polish. I do the very bare minimal just to have a little bit of overlapping action, et cetera, but I don't ever put a lot of secondary and stuff. And that makes sense. If you take a look at television shows, that's usually what they're lacking. They're lacking a lot of that. It was just that they never take it. They just don't take it far enough. They bring it to the point where it works and it communicates what it needs to communicate and holds up, but then they move on because there's just no time for it. So you just have to find, a way of like triaging all that. It's going to be hard to not put it in. You're going to feel like you're kind of phoning it in, and you kind of are, but like, welcome to television.
Yeah. I would say most importantly, just manage expectation. I don't know what's the situation. Maybe you have a supervisor that understands the situation. It is more the mindset of, dude, I'm sorry, just do the best job that you can. But sometime when you're freelancing, for instance, and you have many different clients and someone is asking for crazy quota, like let's say a minute of animation in a week or something like that, it doesn't mean that you cannot take it, but just be very clear about, okay, but here's an example of the kind of quality that you're going to have for this. Becomes sometimes words, oh, but it's okay, you can keep it rough. Okay, well, I guess I can keep it rough. Are you sure that keeping it rough has the same meaning for you and your client? Just be upfront and with what is realistic and what can be done, whether it's with your lead supervisor or client. That can, prevent you from potentially going mad and literally animate 28 hours in 2 days because you didn't you didn't want just to confront in a way this mission impossible that's been put on your desk.
Yep. Okay, we're actually out of time, but I'm kind of thinking that I was going to ask this
but we actually started 10 minutes late.
Oh yeah, okay, that's fine. So we can go extra 10 minutes.
All right, we have Veronica and Tabitha. Let's go with those.
All right, so favorite flavor of ice cream. She was going to ask this during Jacob's Q&A, but then David came in and stole her thunder, and from the sidelines, and now she wants to fight back. So, okay, David, what's your favorite ice cream flavor and why? You need to justify it. It can't just be a thing.
I would probably go with mango, although technically it's probably not ice cream. It's
sorbet.
Yes, it's sorbet. I don't know. There's something with mango, with the fruit or anything that is flavored that it's just addictive to me.
Mango's pretty good. Actually, the mango flavor of sorbet from Chocolat Favori is amazing, by the way, if you've ever had it before. It's very, very good. It's a chain of ice cream / chocolate here. It's actually, I think, originally from Quebec City, but it's pretty much everywhere in Quebec, and it's very good.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Do you have one of those? Is there one downtown?
The only one that I saw is in Mont-Saint-Hilaire.
Really? That's interesting. Lucky us.
You guys are fancy.
Yeah, we're so fancy.
What about you?
That's a good question. I mean, honestly, I can't. So full disclosure, I can't have dairy. I cannot tolerate the dairy. So my options are limited to the the rare awesome flavors you can get that are alternative ice cream. So sorbet I can have. Usually sorbet is dairy free, but there are some ice cream that I use coconut milk and stuff like that. So slowly but surely I'm getting more comfortable with some more of the exotic flavors that I used to have when I was a kid. Like I've always really liked Heavenly Hash and Rocky Road. I don't know why. I just love those two so much. I haven't seen those come out in a version that I can have quite yet, but those are still ones that I sort of dream about. And you know what? I'm a fan of just a old fashioned, French vanilla bean, like I don't know what it is about a classic vanilla. And, it's funny that people call, vanilla, like things that are vanilla are kind of boring and lame. And I'm like, you know what, man, you don't know what you're talking about. You've obviously never had a really good vanilla ice cream before because they're dope, man. Good vanilla is awesome. But I'm proud to admit it.
If I have to choose between vanilla and chocolate, I'll go with vanilla.
Right?
Yep.
I just like vanilla so good. I mean, it's just good. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, you give me like a brownie, like double, triple chocolate, then I'm like, then I'm going to be like, okay, well, maybe I could consider, because it's pretty good. Like it makes me think twice, but I don't know. I don't know. I think it's because it just never disappoints. It's not too fancy. It's like, it's just, it gets the job done, and it never, ever disappoints.
Yep. Amazing question, Veronica.
Thanks. Thank you for that. Really changes things up. This has been a very weird stream today. A little bit of everything. A little bit of everything.
All right, let's end this with Tabitha.
Okay. Tabitha, she asks, how do you allocate time out of your day / week to do things you enjoy outside of work? Like gaming and hobbies, feeding the cat, if you have any time for that at all.
I certainly still have time for it, and I think that it's super important. I think if you don't keep time outside of whatever you're doing in your professional life, or if you're studying, there's a And that this is something that we discussed a little bit in the before with mental health and all that. But you can get to a point that you don't like to do that thing anymore, whether it's animating or play music or whatever it is. And sometimes it's out of exhaustion, out of a bad, whatever it is. There are some chemical reaction in your brain at some point. And sometimes you cannot go back. And by the way, it's the same thing with food. I remember a time that I hated something and I came back and that's the only thing that was, and all of a sudden I had no choice and I ate it. And from that day on, my brain said, oh, this is good. Now I like it. Same thing happened. It's something that I liked a lot and I ate it once and it was bad and never liked it ever again. There are some people that are burning out of working too much and they never get back the level of energy that they had before. And there are some people that are literally just quitting the industry after some really bad experience because they just cannot go back there. Those are extreme examples, but I would just say that to keep a healthy life balance in general, yes, you need to dedicate time to all those other things on the side. That's for sure. So it's not a matter of do you have the time? It's do you take the time?
Yeah.
And often it's easy to say, oh, I'm going to work and do this and and you don't realize that you're slowly digging your own grave towards burnout. So yes, super important.
Yeah, it's like the mind is typically pretty good at if some people are better than others at this, but it's like the mind can almost develop an allergy for things that are unhealthy for you. This is a defense mechanism, not unlike how the body would react when exposed to things that's allergic to that you're allergic to. It's sort of your body is going to tell you that no, that's just not good for you. And I think that even if you love it, if you spend too much time doing it, your body will develop that allergy, and and it's sad, really, because sometimes people even develop like actual like post-traumatic stress towards things that they love, and it's because that's the way their brain is providing a barrier in order to protect yourself. And I think that it's like David's saying, you gotta be willing to, like, rather than trying to like, oh no, know the signs and like find a way of like making sure that you don't like push past that point. The best way of doing it is just not wait until it gets that crazy and just do like always like have a regimen to make sure that you're doing other things. Simply just, you can stay busy all you want, but just don't be busy doing the only same thing all the time, because that's a surefire way of possibly learning to hate something.
And for me, on the how part of how to allocate time, for me, it's two things. It's habits through routine. So I'm going to start the work at the same hour. I'm going to stop at the same hour. I'm going to do something else. I know that on Friday, for sure, at 5:30, I stop whatever I was doing, and I'm not going to do any work before at least Sunday evening, if not Monday morning. So there's at least a 48 hours window there that there's going to be no work. Yes, once in a while, if we're in the car and I'm not driving and I brought my laptop, I might spend, I'm just looking at outside. So I'm going to cheat and do a little half hour of easy stuff for half an hour. But yes. But other than that, it's just a matter of being specific with your routine of this is when I work and this is when I'm not working. And the other part is just to commit yourself, commit future you on other project or other things. So with sports, for instance, you're going to join a team of whatever sport, and there's a practice and a game at two specific moments of the week. So ahead of time, you say, okay, I'm going to do that. And when comes the day, you might be like, oh, but I'm not done with the work. But now there's people waiting for me.
Yeah.
And if I don't show up, then they're kind of going to be screwed because, they will miss one player and they're going to be beat up by the other team. So, all right, I'm going to do. if you play music, play with friends, get a band, set something once a week, and like that. Okay, this time I'm going to do this. So commit future you to those projects, and when the times come, you might have the habit of, oh no, but I need to finish the work. But you're committed now. You've already committed, and there's other people that are relying on you to do this thing, so it's kind of force you to do it. And eventually one thing is leading to another. All those commitment that you've taken are within the schedule that you've made for yourself, and then it becomes easy. You don't have to think about it anymore, like, oh, this is where I'm at, oh, this is where I'm at, okay, now I'm going to do this. And if you did a good planning job ahead of time, then you're going to have plenty of activity that are going to take your mind out of the art that you're developing or the job that you have.
Yeah, it's I think that at the end of the day, the key for I used to do this in a very different way, and it was too rigid. Like I was trying really hard to kind of put the reins on as far as like being a bit more controlled with where the time was spent. It gets much more complicated if you have a family. I can tell you that right now. But that being said, so like in other words, it's more complicated, but also less complicated in ways, because it's like, well, you just have a rule, like no working on the weekends, for instance, or, trying to not work on the weekends whenever possible, and trying to be very, very faithful to that. I think that in a way, when you have this cute little human being running around and you have a family that you want to spend time with, it's sort of like that helps. In a way, sometimes it's harder when you're just single and living on your own, and like it's very easy to get lost in it. But that being said, when you're busy, you can still get sucked in. You know what I mean? And it can cause all kinds of other kinds of consequences that aren't just you hating your industry. Things can get ugly on the home front. So, but when it comes to scheduling time to try to make it so that you at least spend time doing other things, I do something similar to what David said. It's like, okay, make sure you book yourself. And like, I like the idea of booking time with friends and family, because then it's sort of like you're leveraging that don't be a dick factor, like you don't want to be that guy who makes plans and then bails because I'm busy or whatever. But also what I like to do is just allocate time in general to something that, like, for instance, like just socializing / playing games. The idea is you've scheduled time for that. You haven't made any specific plans, but you've given yourself pre-license to that. And then the idea is that all you need to do is spend some time in that very broad category, spending time that you dedicated to that, and you'll feel good about it. I recently saw some really great speaker on this, where it's like, that's a much better way to do it, rather than being like, oh, you're going to do exactly this at this time, and you're going to do exactly that at this time, because all you're going to end up doing is failing all the time, and then you feel like garbage. But you know what you cannot fail at is just making sure you take at least some time during that window to doing the thing that kind of one of those things that you want to do, and you're gonna be like, hey, at least I took the time to play a game tonight before I went to bed. You know what I mean? Like, that is a win that you can then feel good about, as opposed to putting yourself in a position where those wins are very hard to score.
Yep. You definitely need to. I would say, especially in the beginning, you definitely, in the beginning of your career, if you're in school, you definitely have more energy, or you have more resistance to, stress or getting tired or whatever you're doing. But you do realize over time that you need to be, just as you need to, I need to start to exercise a little bit more than I need to do, and I need to make sure that I have enough sleep, and I need to make sure that I eat properly. You're going to realize that, you need to take care of the body and the mind.
Yeah.
And the best way to take care of the mind is to do a lot of different things.
Absolutely.
That your mind likes to do. Because we can all endure stress and even a bit of anxiety, but it needs to be short peak and then relax, and then it cannot be sustained.
Nope.
It's not going to end well.
Nope.
For sure.
Sustained stress and anxiety is a sure, fast, direct route to burnout, 100%.
Yep.
Well, we're out of time. Thank you for everyone for persevering through the very strange stream that was tonight. Clearly, we need to maybe install some bots on our channel to deal with some of the riffraff that decided to come and share their lovely words with us tonight.
But just to say that since Tabitha showed up, it seemed that everything, I don't know what she did.
Of her or something. I want to know. I'm going to ask her afterwards, like, were you deflecting all this stuff? Or was it just that, like, as soon as the sheriff showed up, everyone's like, oh, okay, well, I'll see myself out. Maybe a bit of both. We'll find out. So thanks for that.
Like Scott is saying, it might be the pumpkin seller that is angry about you, Brent.
It might be. It really might be. It's like I just can't take it. You've you're ruining my business. It's like, no, you ruined your business, buddy. Sending me like cat crap in the mail. Come on. Okay, well, thank you, David, as usual. Thank you, chat, as usual. We'll see you on the next one. And I believe the next one is actually tomorrow afternoon, I believe, right, Dan Root?
Yes, we have a conversation with tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so please do show up to that. David and I both, neither of us know him well at all, so it's gonna be really cool because we're gonna like literally get to know him along with everybody else at the same time. So I like streams like that because I have like literally like it's just gonna be great because it's just gonna be like getting to know a really cool person and just talk a little bit about what makes them tick, and so that'll be fun. So come join us for that. And otherwise, we'll see you next week if you can't make it to tomorrow's stream. Cheers, everybody. Bye,
everyone.